The U.S. endured an unprecedented 179 disasters throughout 2024, according to FEMA, affecting millions of Americans and completely wiping out some towns. Nicole Sganga spoke with FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell about these disasters and what she's calling the new normal.
We had one of the busiest tornado seasons on record. We had flooding. The spring severe weather season with record flooding that we saw in Iowa, South Dakota, Minnesota, where they had flooding, riverine flooding that was 8 feet over their previous record, which was just remarkable. And then we think about the hurricanes and the fires that we've seen across the United States this year. More people are in the way of severe weather than have ever been before.
We're talking about a major disaster declaration every
Almost
1 to 2 days.
2 days, yes. Not just a major emergency or a fire management, some type of disaster declaration, at least about one every 2 days this year.
Okay, so I'll restate that just so we have it. We're talking about a disaster every 2 days.
Yes, at least one every 2 days right now of different types of disaster declarations, unheard of.
Is that a new normal?
I think it is. Our new normal is we see the impacts of climate change and we see how these severe weather events are materializing.
Nicole Sganga joins us now from Washington. Nicole, 2024 was a record-breaking year for disasters. Can FEMA keep up the pace?
Yeah, record-breaking climate-driven disasters, Lindsay. The second busiest tornado season on record and a widening tornado alley. Wildfires twice as intense as what this country saw 2 decades ago. You heard it there, 179 declared disasters. It's also a 50% increase from last year, and it bears repeating again. That's a disaster every other day. Let's also talk money in terms of keeping up. More than 24 disasters in fiscal year 2024 had price tags of over $1 billion. That's billion with a B. The recovery costs for Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton outpaced all previous disasters within the past decade, and FEMA spent half of its annual budget 8 days into the fiscal year.
Wow.
Because of a combination of paying leftover recovery bills plus those back-to-back hurricanes. Now, Administrator Criswell is concerned that if the U.S. sees another jump in disasters like what we saw this past year, FEMA won't have the manpower or the resources to keep up with demand. And without serious investment in climate resilience, vulnerable communities are going to be forced to make difficult decisions about rebuilding or relocating.
Spent half of its budget in the first 8 days of this year?
That's correct.
So does that mean that people and businesses are concerned about reaching out to try and get money when disasters like this hit?
It's true. And we want to make this really clear. If you're a disaster survivor in need of federal assistance, the administrator said it's so important that you apply for the aid you need. In sort of a heartbreaking display of human decency, she's actually found that survivors are refraining from applying for help because they're concerned that FEMA is running out of money. They've seen the headlines, and they don't want to take help away from neighbors who might have gotten hit harder. Take a listen to this.
We also see people that will say, well, I don't want to apply for assistance because you're running out of money. Somebody else needs it more. I'm like, no, we have enough for everybody.
People unwilling to apply for FEMA assistance because they're concerned that the federal government is running out of money to help survivors.
And they want to make sure there's enough for their neighbors who have greater need.
Wow. $3.5 billion left in the disaster relief fund might sound like a lot of money. We've been through hurricane season, but no notice events like earthquakes, chemical spills, explosions are not seasonal. They can still happen. The administrator told me that she worried when the West Coast got that tsunami warning that she'd have just a couple of weeks left before the fund went dry. She added, even if they enter into immediate needs funding right now, prioritizing only life-saving, life-sustaining spending, FEMA will still run out of money by the end of this month. They are waiting on Congress to greenlight President Biden's $40 billion funding request. Lindsay.
Nicole Sganga, thank you.
Thank you.